Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. Look, guys, big surprise and big first for me. In this regard, I've never seen Cody Garbrandt get whipped before, and neither of you. And don't tell me you have. I'm not saying he hasn't been in some firefights and he got hit on the chin and went down because he's a regular human being. I'm talking about whipped before. I'm talking about outclassed before. None of this statement is to insult Cody, but it's time that we give some praise to Rob Font because that's what happened. And Cody was ready to fight. And you know that by the intangibles. Was Cody in shape? Were his feet moving? Could he hold up, meaning his cardio? Could he push all night long? Everything was in check. Cody was strong. Cody's mentally very tough. He was in the fight. Rob got to the target repeatedly. You know how fast Cody Garbrandt is, and he couldn't get out of the way. That jab was coming. Boom, 2 jabs in that hook. I mean, that same combination, 2 jabs in a hook. It's a really big deal. You'll see this more in boxing than you see in MMA. And it's as though the boxers have a higher IQ than the MMA fighters. But the rule is real simple. If something works once in a contest, use it all night long. Real simple theory. If you can catch a certain combination on a guy, then you know he's susceptible for it, and you know he doesn't have time to prepare to stop it because you're live in the fight. So if it worked in round 1, use it in round 1.5, round 1 3/4, round 2, round 2.5. You get my point. That's what Font did. And Garbrandt was ready to fight. I mean, Garbrandt was tenacious. Some of those takedowns Garbrandt hit, those weren't predicated on technique. Those were just predicated on determination. Cody was ready to fight. Cody fought very well. And all the questions about Cody's chin and can he take a shot? Yes, Cody can take a shot. His chin is fine. It's always been fine. Some of those shots he's taken are very hard. And none of you could have taken them either. So a little easy on the judgment, but this is a moment to really observe Rob Font. Because there's not a lot left for Rob to do. Rob in the post-fight was even asked, what do you want to do? And he stated the 2 fights that he's got to sit back and wait for. Sandhagen and Dillashaw, and then, of course, the rematch with Jan and Sterling. But he's right. As much as I despise that, as much as I despise a guy being given an opportunity on ESPN, teed up, softball right down the middle, and he doesn't name a name, at the same time, there's no name to name. He's right. He's got to let the logjam work its way through. I think that he is in a prime position to step right and fight for a championship. However, I do think the winner of Sandhagen and Dillashaw is going to fight the winner of Jan Sterling. So what does Rob do? Look, he's not in a bad spot, guys. He's in a great spot. It's just one that lacks clarity. Some of the best spots you can have as in MMA is when you're the guy. You're recognized as the guy, but you lack clarity. Because what that means is now you get to be a utility player. That means if Dillashaw gets hurt, you go in against Sandhagen. If Jan gets hurt, you go in against Sterling, right? It's one of those things. And guys don't understand that. Rob's not going to understand this. He's going to be frustrated right now. Rob's got nothing to be frustrated about. One of the best spots you can be is the man recognized for what you are that doesn't have a date booked. Because now you have flexibility. And I think that when we look at 135 pounds, a division that didn't even exist, at one point in my fight career, it did not even exist. It had absolutely no interest. That's a nice way of saying that, and that goes back just a couple of years. If your name wasn't Dominic Cruz and you were at that weight, you did not matter in the sport. That's a rude way of saying it. You understand my point, though. 135 pounds right now? I can't wait for the matches. I can't wait to see Rob Font get his chance. I can't wait to see Sandhagen versus TJ. I can't wait to see the rematch between Jan and Sterling. 135 is in a really great spot. 135 is very different from other weight classes because you have guys who are willing to compete. They're not squatting on a spot. They're not holding things up. They're not having to be all shined up and talked to the right way. Do you want to fight or not? There is no other way for me to ask the question. Do you want to fight or not? At 135 pounds, at least right now, the answer is yes.